Welcome to Raw and Refined, the Gentleman's Hour, where we're going to have conversation with middle-aged black men about what's going on. We welcome you to listen, comment, and like, and hopefully encourage others to join for future conversations as well. We always like to start off with a toast, and with that toast, it's because we are gentlemen and we do it raw and refined.
Well, welcome back to Raw and Refined. I'm John, and I'm here today with my brother Rich. And today we're talking about something that hits home for me, not just as a man, but as a physician. We're talking about hypertension, high blood pressure, whatever you like to call it. That's what the topic of the conversation is today. It's one of those conditions that becomes almost normal in our community, but it's not normal. Similar to diabetes, and as we've talked about in some of our previous podcasts, it's becoming too much of a norm. And these are things that we definitely can have some impact towards. So, hopefully, our conversation today will help us with that and help us try to be more diligent and aware of high blood pressure and the potential effect it can have on us all as well. By no means is hypertension harmless. It has very serious side effects associated with it, even though it's termed, well, because it's termed the silent killer. Let me put it that way. I've seen it in my patients. I've dealt with it personally as I do have high blood pressure as well. And I know the kind of
Me
toll
too.
it can take if we don't pay attention. So Rich as well has high blood pressure, and some of you out there, I'm sure, do too. So today, Rich and I want to unpack what's really going on with this, the stress, the culture, and the steps we can take to protect our health. But as we do with Raw and Refined, we always like to toast it off with a drink for tonight. And I think if I heard correctly from my brother Rich, we're going with tea tonight. Am I correct?
That is correct, brother. I'm doing an herbal tea tonight. It's called wild berry. That's what I'm doing. I'm having it's over there getting its steep on at the moment. And then, as I had mentioned to you, one of my colleagues is a beekeeper, and I just got a fresh shipment of honey from him today. Two different batches, some a light and a dark. I'm really excited about the dark. It looks like molasses. So it's just his bees went to a different group of plants for those. So yeah, that's the beverage for tonight. This evening is an herbal tea, wild berry.
Sounds great, brother. I'm gonna go with the chai tea tonight. I
Hmm.
love that chai tea. Green tea is also a good option. As we get into our conversation today, I will caution us though about being careful about black tea
Yes,
because that
brother.
is high in the caffeine.
That's it's like drinking some coffee. You might as well just say,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And like you, my brother, I got a good friend, a listener of ours as well, who's a beekeeper, and
Okay.
he has let us sample his honey. His honey is absolutely delicious, and he's even trying to perfect a hot honey
Mm.
that we sometimes put on some wings and have a good
Hmm.
time with as well. But
Yes.
that's
Hmm.
probably another conversation. But I give props to my brother out there who's doing the honeys. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Man, a hot honey. That just sounds excellent. On some fried chicken.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Now we gonna have to talk about how good that is too, but we still got to come back to what we talking about today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Before we get all, we talking about hypertension, not hot
Right.
honey on wings. Too many wings
Right.
might too much fried chicken might be contributing to the hypertension.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So we know we just real folks, so that's all.
hmm,
So we gonna keep it real as we have our conversation. So nothing wrong with it. As we say, moderation now, folks.
yeah,
Moderation. That's the key to a lot of this as well. So we're gonna get started. Our first part of this conversation is just talking about, again, what we referenced earlier as the silent killer. That is what hypertension is. Hypertension has negatively, again, affected us as Black men. Roughly about 1 in 2 adult Black men have hypertension. and that's according to the CDC. What we've also seen in some studies is that by the time we reach the age of 55, almost 75% of us are going to have high blood pressure. Now, real quickly,
Wow.
high blood pressure nowadays is honestly, and I need you all thinking about this, is really any blood pressure that's not normal. Now, there are different stages to that as well. But as of right now, normal blood pressure reading is 120 over 80. So if it's above that, then you do not have normal blood pressure. So we have got to work on what those and bringing those numbers down. And through the conversation today, we will talk about opportunities on how to do that as well. But the hard part about this, folks, is that again, we can have high blood pressure for years and not know it, especially if we don't go to our providers to be checked at least on a yearly basis for our physicals. Because you
Hmm.
don't usually have symptoms related to high blood pressure until it's been so high for so long that it starts to affect other aspects of your body and your health. So we're
Yeah.
trying to prevent that. And it's easy. We just got
124
to
over
start checking the blood
79.
pressure. Well, there you go. That's
That's
outstanding
124
right
over
there.
79. That's what I was this morning. Yesterday was not as good, but this morning it was 124 over 79. So
That's outstanding, brother. So you getting it there, and hopefully for the most days, that's what that's looking like as well. So
yeah,
very
we it's
good.
unfortunately life happens, right? And we'll talk as we're talking about this stress and all that kind of stuff can impact your exercise schedule, all those kinds of things. And so, my life got crazy in August and September, and so
Hmm.
we had just made the decision, my doctor and I, in early August, that we needed to tweak my meds a little bit because I was starting to creep back up a little bit. My
Hmm.
blood sugar numbers were doing great, but over here off to the side, we noticed that the BP was ticking up just a little bit. So we had gone from two meds. We had gone from benazepam and amlodipine. He had removed the amlodipine, and so then we decided, well, maybe we need to roll the amlodipine back in. And if it starts doing better like it did with the blood sugars, we can take it back out. But
Hmm.
so I sent him a PDF the other day of because I do my readings almost every day. Try to do it in the morning. Sometimes I throw in the evening one just to mix it up a little bit. I sent him I think it was like 60 days worth of data. And was like, I think we need to keep rolling with it, Doc, because it hasn't backed off yet. And so because when he put the prescription in, he didn't give me any refills. He was like, "We're just gonna do this 60-day bump, see what the
Hmm.
numbers look like, and then we'll decide to go from there." So, you know,
Yeah,
life is happening, and so we're dealing with it. Trying to
exactly.
keep it
And I like
trying
what
to
you were
keep it
saying
in check.
because that's
Hmm.
important that you are checking at home as well. So not
Oh,
just relying
hmm.
on what you get at the doctor's office. Your home
It's always
readings
high at the
actually are
doctor, man.
very right, always
It's
high
always
because of
high
the
because
stress
I
of
just
coming in
stress of
and
coming to
all
the
of that.
doctor,
Right.
driving in traffic. Man,
Right.
my doctor is in downtown Chicago. That's an hour away from me, and it's through
Right.
Chicago traffic to get down there. So by the time I
Right.
make it and get there and park and see that it's gonna be $900 when I leave, my blood,
That's right.
they
That's
put
right.
that thing
That's
on
right.
there and it's boom, boom, boom.
Right. 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 Right.
It's
Right.
always had no. That honestly though, my last doctor's visit, it was normal in the doctor's
Good.
office, and I freaked out because it's never been normal in the doctor's office. We just
I
expect it to
hear it.
be higher, but yeah,
Yep.
so it's
I
crazy.
hear it. So even when I go to the doctor, to my doctor, my pressure's usually high when I first get there, and then we'll
Yep, and
sit
so then he
around,
takes
relax for a
talk
little
for a
bit.
while.
Yep, and then
He
get
takes
it,
it
and usually
again.
it's back down to normal. So right,
Yep.
so I get it. But yes, if you have opportunities to be able to check those blood pressures at home, do that.
Hmm.
But make
Yeah.
sure you're in a relaxed setting as well. Don't get off a
Right.
call. Don't just have that cup of coffee. Don't be
Hmm.
running and then trying to sit down and check your blood pressure. Your
Yep.
body needs to relax when you're checking it and keep a recording of those readings so that
Hmm.
you'll have some information to give to your doctors or your primary care providers as you go see them as well too.
Yeah, if you're one of those people that use Apple products, in your phone, there's the Apple Health. and it allows you can record, in there, keep a running tab of everything. You got nice little graphs, and it even will point out trends and all of that kind of stuff if it notices that. So, but it's so easy nowadays to keep track. The one thing though is make sure your meter is not like 900 years old. Um,
Right. Right. That may need to be updated, or you need to change the battery sometimes. Folks
yeah,
forget that there are batteries in those things, and
right.
that sometimes needs to be changed in order to get a
Yeah,
more accurate read. And
yeah.
bring your
Get your
monitor at times to your
right.
doctor's office so
I
that
do
they
that
can
too.
see what that looks like compared to what they're getting in the office as well.
Yeah, we do that. So we'll do that from time to time. So we'll get a reading on mine, and then he'll do it. And it depends because my doctor is old school. He still puts the cuff on and puts the
Hmm.
whatever you would call it. I forget the name of it. The listening device, and he puts it up under
The
there and
stethoscope.
the stethoscope. Thank you. I was blanking on. He does it old school with the stethoscope, puts it up under there and turns a little knob. But then his nurses or other professionals, they come in and they use the machine. But their
Hmm.
machine, of course, is a lot more, intense or, just better professional, it seems like, than the ones we have at home, or at least it's a more
Hmm.
heavy duty. But yeah, I got two blood pressure cuffs now. One is about a year old, and the other one's about 4 years old. So I don't use the 4 year old one anymore, but it still works. But to your point about
Yeah.
the batteries, most of them now, they've got to plug in, lithium batteries and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So but to your point, yeah, you're
Hmm.
going to get the readings are going to be impacted if the battery is low. It's not getting full power and all that kind of stuff, and it's not going to inflate have the same
Exactly.
pressure if that battery is weak in there. So,
And the size of the cuff matters.
right,
So
it
if you
does.
got big arms, you can't
Hmm.
use a normal size cuff because that's going to fit too tight and give us a
Right.
wrong reading as well. So definitely make sure you got the right size that wraps fully around your bicep of your arm when
Yeah.
you're checking. I'm not
You
a
know.
fan of the wrist. I'm not a fan of the finger check blood
Hmm.
pressure cuff. So if you're gonna get one
Yeah.
that goes around the bicep.
Hmm. I sometimes will do it on both arms just to see. Do the right arm and then the left arm. But now, I wear I've got my glucose monitor on.
Hmm.
So typically, whatever side that's on, I do it on the other side. So
That's good. Yep.
right now I'm patching on the right arm. So I test my blood pressure on the left arm. So it's varying for me every 15 days. It's gonna switch over. When
Yep.
I switch arms with the when I put on a new patch, new CGM, and so then I switch over to that side. So I don't know if it's a difference. But, no human is perfectly symmetrical. So I'm sure there's going to be
Exactly.
some differences from one side to the other. So,
And that's
yeah.
exactly right. It's a matter of how our arteries and vessels are related to our heart. So our heart sits mostly left center, and that's why
Hmm.
we usually like to check our blood pressures on the left side. It
Hmm.
gives us what we think to be a more accurate reading than on the right side. Unless you've got a heart change, naturally type deal, then that would be
Hmm.
different. But that's rare that that's present as well.
Okay. So let's kind of talk about the pressure within, how stress and culture drive hypertension, the stress piece. I mean, I can tell you off the top, I can honestly say I don't know that I've consciously experienced a stress trigger where it's I've gotten like, well, I know that shot, I hear people say, boy, that such pissed me off, that shot my pressure up,
Hmm.
that kind
Hmm.
of thing. I don't know what that would feel like, or I don't know that I've ever experienced that where I've heard people talk about that, or talk about how maybe they got a little dizzy or something or lightheaded. I've never, or the chest tightening up or something like that,
Hmm.
that might be, that stress related hypertension kind of thing. But as a doctor, I'm sure you've had patients talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah, so all of that can have some impact on our blood pressures overall. But remember what we said, a lot of people aren't going to necessarily feel the effects of that blood pressure going up even though we're all living stressful lives and things, and how we manage that stress is going to be really impactful on how we take care of our blood pressure as well. But some things that we got to remember is that when we get stressed, we have these natural responses such as in cortisol levels,
Hmm.
epinephrine or adrenaline in our bodies that can start to go up, and that can naturally raise our blood pressure as a result of that. But hopefully that doesn't stay at high levels unless there's something going on physiologically as well. But let's put it this way, you mentioned something too, Rich, and that is that you don't necessarily have those moments where you're like, oh my goodness, they just got my pressure up
Hmm.
on 10 right now. You know
Hmm.
why? Because a lot of that is we've become conditioned, I feel.
Right. Hmm.
I mean, we living with the stress of just being a black man. We living with the stress of our children, of our relationships,
Hmm.
our
We frogs in the
job.
pot. We frogs in the pot,
Exactly.
and the water, the temperature's
Exactly.
being turned up really, really slowly. We're not paying attention to that. Hmm.
Exactly. And with current state of affairs that we living in, that pressure is even higher in some search circumstances as well too.
Right. We're becoming conditioned to living on 10. Uh-huh.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Which
10
is
becomes the norm. And
right.
that's not the norm,
That's
and we got to
right.
remember that that's not the norm.
That's
and
chronic
and we
damage is
can't
what that
accept
is
that.
doing. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Hmm.
that's the part of things that we've got to be conscious of and be supportive of each other in that as well, to recognize I'm not the only one going through that. I know my other brothers are going through that as well. So hey, if I can help in some way to calm that situation down at least for a moment, then that's a moment that they're doing probably a little bit better as well.
I think one of the ways to help with that is we have to attack the traditional cultural conditioning, the traditional norms. Is we did have that, we did the episode on John Henryism.
Hmm.
Clearly, I think is something that we need to address. It plays out on the regular all the time because we're juggling all of these things, right? We're juggling work, we're juggling finances. There is this notion in the community historically for men that we have to have this hard exterior. We can't show that we're weak or retired or any of that
Hmm.
kind of thing. And so to your point about supporting each other, being supportive, we have to get into the habit of extending that support whether somebody's asking, because most aren't going to ask, right?
Correct.
Most are going to stay silent and just keep
Correct.
on trying to push on through and just make it to the
Right.
other side. The support, the help, greatly needed. I was thinking about just like I said back in when things got crazy at the crib here in August and
Hmm.
September, just getting the call from you periodically, hey, let me just check in to see
Hmm.
how you doing, that lifts a lot. It makes everything a little lighter, a little easier to deal, just being able to just knowing that you got my back and you checking on me.
Yep.
I'm trying to push forward. I'm trying to get this done. I'm
Yep.
trying to take care of that. I'm trying to make sure that baby is good. I'm trying to make sure that the mom's is good,
Yep.
and just pressing forward. So again, good looking out. But yeah, that helps so much with managing that stress. We have to check in, and we have
Yes.
to we have to not wait for our brothers to say I need help, because a lot of times
Yes.
they're never going to.
Exactly, exactly.
They're
Sometimes
gonna
just
need
like you
it.
said, right,
Hmm.
right, right. Sometimes like you said, just a phone call, just to say, "Hey, how
Hmm.
you doing?" If you planning on going for a walk, hey, say, "Hey, bruh, what you got going
Hmm.
on right now? I'm about to go take a walk, just to get some
Hmm.
fresh air, and I was thinking about you. How about I swing by and pick you up and we just go for a walk together? I wouldn't mind, and actually would love to have your company in doing so."
Hmm.
A brother be like, man, all right, I wasn't planning on doing nothing except watching the sports or whatever type deal. Yeah, come on, swing by. We'll go ahead and do this thing. And those are
Hmm.
things that, like you said, Rick, I mean, how often are you going to call and say, yo, I feel like going for a walk. Why don't you come pick me up? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Versus, someone that offers you the invitation. And more times than not, it's a welcomed invitation to go do something and do it together. How much
Hmm.
mental strain we're under and how that can help to reduce that. man, can be so impactful as well.
I saw this thing and I shared it on Facebook the other day. Yesterday it was this video. This dude was saying that walking backwards it can temporarily remove or eliminate anxiety because of the actual act of walking backwards. You've got to use so much of your brain power to effectively do that because it's so it's not normal for most people, and so it can eliminate anxiety for up to 2 hours afterwards that process, which I thought was interesting because as just part of my walking all the time, I walk backwards, but it's just part of my walking meditation that I do while I'm out.
It changes your mindset, right?
Hmm.
So
It
if you
really
have
does.
opportunities to change your mindset, then that can definitely positively impact your overall mental health, especially. So, real quick example, folks who are smoking. So, one of the things that I try to encourage them is to say, hey, whenever you get that urge to grab that cigarette, let's try to divert that urge to something else. Let's say you get you about 8 ounces of water. Let's say you go for a 5, 10 minute walk at that time. What that can do is that can change your mindset as to what you initially wanted in that cigarette. And then next thing you know, hey, you bypassed one of those smokes that you were going to get because you decided to change your mindset and think about something different as well. So that is definitely ways to help to improve that.
Let's talk about breaking the cycle song.
Sure thing, man. I think the way we can help break this cycle, of course, we've had some of our previous conversations where we talked about ways to reduce stress. We talked about vacationing. We talked about checking in. We talked about music, dance, meditation, prayer, all of those things. But even from a health standpoint, and we got to be real, and we're going to keep it real too. For some of us, we may need some medication to help us keep these blood pressure under better control as well. And I'll be honest,
Hmm.
for some of us, and I won't even say some, for most of us, it's going to take at least two or more blood pressure medicines for us to get that and keep it under control. But just
Hmm.
because we're starting you on some medication doesn't mean that you have to stay on that medication. And you're a prime example of that, Rich.
Hmm.
You were on two, you were able to come off. Things have changed, which is requiring you to be back on two for now. But that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that that's going to have to be the ongoing process of this.
Yeah,
We
my
got to
endo
work
got
on
me to
our stuff.
understand that, because when I was talking to my endocrinologist, about the diabetes, I'd gotten to the point, I'm off I'm off the insulin. The only thing I'm on is just the
Mhm,
one pill, the metformin. But in the recent period, and again, it was because life got crazy, but I wasn't pleased with my numbers. My last A1C didn't move like I wanted it to. So I'm like, should we be thinking about adding another medication? And
mhm,
she was like, I'm looking at everything. I don't think so. She said, I'm thinking, she's like, your kidney numbers look better. Your kidney is actually healthier than it was a year ago.
mhm,
So everything that you're doing, you just keep doing what you're doing. Just get back on your schedule, back on your plan that you have been on, and you'll be good. And I was like, okay, but yeah, so we look at it, we tweak, we try and get as close as we can to right. But what her point was don't if this doesn't get better, if the numbers
mhm,
don't start to get better, even if you get back, she said, if you get back to your true routine like you had been before life got crazy, you're doing
mhm,
that for a while, and then you're still not seeing the numbers that you want to see, then come back and we'll talk about it then, because then that means you're doing all of the things right. You're back to your normal exercise, you're back to your normal diet, you're living the way you quote unquote want to be or supposed to be. If we're still not getting there, then come back and then maybe we do need to talk about another med. And the point is
right,
another medicine isn't a bad thing, necessarily,
right,
because part of my mindset was I got to get off all of these meds because
right,
they're making me feel horrible and this and that. And so is it that I shouldn't be on the meds? Am I on the right meds?
right,
Is this something that I could better manage with some meds, but not 12 meds, or
right,
like you said, whatever we need to get into that best state, not just being pumped full of medications just for the
right.
sake of it. I think that requires that real back and forth, that real collaboration with your doctor, as opposed to
Exactly.
just your doctor telling you what to do, or you deciding I'm gonna go to the doctor, but then I ain't gonna do a damn thing the doctor says because
Right.
you know that
Right.
sounds
What's the
crazy.
point?
You
Right.
know,
Exactly.
well, you could have saved your copay. You could have,
Exactly.
if you weren't gonna do what they
Exactly.
said to do, you shouldn't have went in the first place. Just be out here
Exactly.
oblivious, and just let stuff start falling off.
Exactly.
Otherwise, work with them. It's like I
Right.
said, it should be a collaboration. It's your body. It's just like with your car, right? You go to the
Right.
mechanic and you have a conversation, right? Half time they want you to do this, 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 and this, and I'm like, well, do I really need that? Well, yes, you do need to have that appendix removed. It's about to burst.
Right.
Okay. Well,
Right.
no, you don't need to get that wart removed. That's cosmetic. Whatever. We need to be
Right.
engaging in the conversation, engaging in the collaborative process about maintenance and maintaining this vehicle, this body.
Exactly. Exactly. Your connection with your healthcare provider is vitally important for your health and wellness. But, and again, medication is just a part of the treatment profile. Yes, we still need to work on those things to help us reduce stress, like we talked about. Yes, we do need to try to get our bodies active, and activity is at least about 30 minutes a day as well. Yes, we need to get our rest. Sleep is important. Your body needs to be able to relax, and that's how your body relaxes is through good rest as well. You may be resting, but you might have a condition called sleep apnea. And if you do have sleep apnea, that needs to be treated as well because we now know how sleep apnea affects high blood pressure as well as cardiovascular issues like stroke and heart disease too.
Get
If
your
you
smart
smoke,
bed. Get you one
you
of
get
them.
your smart that'll
Get
work.
your
That helps.
thing. Raise your head up. Get you some better breathing at night. Do something.
That's right. That's right. And if you smoke, you need to cut out those cigarettes because
Hmm.
they do more harm than they do any potential good, folks. So that also is it. You got to curb your alcohol intake as well. You
Also, I
know,
can't smoke. I can't drink. Next, you're gonna say cut out all the fried food and cut out all the
right,
salt and
right.
the processed food. Also, I can't have no salami. I mean, damn. So
I
what am I
know.
supposed to
Just
do?
take life away,
Just
right?
eat salad, huh?
Right. So
Just eat
no, and that's not
salads.
what we saying. Right, right, right. But if you doing that
Gotta
as the
watch out for them
majority
salad
of
eating.
your intake every day, yes, we have got to cut that down and make a change. I'm not saying you got to cut it out 100%. Hey, but we got to incorporate better eating habits into our diets, and we need to
Uh,
encourage each other to do that as well.
Oh, I
So
got
the
it. That just
DASH
made me think
diet,
of this. I'm sorry, Doc. Doc,
uh-huh.
I saw this other meme I saw today, and the thing it was hilarious. It said it asked the question: should all doctors be this honest? And the boy said that said something to the effect of high blood pressure or obesity something runs in my family, and he said the problem is nobody runs in your family.
Right, 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 right. That's it. That's it, right.
He said, so should doctors be that honest? Should they just suggest, I mean, do you just come out and say to your clients, look, if you lose 75 pounds, then maybe this would be a little better on you?
You
Because,
know what? That's
go ahead.
hilarious, Rich. But yes, the problem is it's all about the communication. It's all about the connection that you and your provider have. I do have those people in my practice. I'm like, look now, we could have done better with this type deal. Yes, we got to lose, 20 pounds that we got to get to, but we got to put in the effort. Others,
Yeah.
you might have to build that relationship up so that
Hmm.
they don't feel like you just getting down on them and you just giving them negative information, but
Yeah.
they know that you care about them and their health and wellness, where you can get what I like to say, let's get real now with the conversation type
Yeah.
deal.
My doctor has been my doctor for, God, I can't remember how long. It's been decades. It's
Hmm.
literally been decades. So I think we have achieved a level of comfort with each other. Like I'm overdue for my next colonoscopy, and so
Okay.
I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna get it done. Don't start.
Uh-huh.
Don't lean in, Doc. Calm down.
Right.
All right. I know.
Right. 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 Right.
And the point
About to get
was is
on you, but
when I
yeah.
the point was when
Right.
I, at my last appointment, and of course Regina's in the background saying, "Get him, John, get him." But in my last, we before we talked about anything else, he hadn't even sat down good. He was like, "So I should just take that colonoscopy off your order, huh? We just gonna say the hell with it. We're just not gonna do those anymore, huh?" And I was like, "I know I'm gonna do it, man. Quit tripping, But I was I appreciated the fact that he feels comfortable enough to call me out on things. So yeah, we were talking about soul food without the salt, I guess, or the realities of life. You was talking about exercise and walking and things like that. I try to get in the walking every day.
Good.
That's what I say. I try to. My plan is on days that I work out, I walk about a mile.
Uh-huh.
On days that I don't work out, I walk 2 to 3 miles. Then I usually try to walk post meal,
Yeah.
post lunch or post dinner, those kind of deal. Because post breakfast is usually when I go work out. I usually,
Okay.
get up, eat a little something, and then I hit the gym on my gym days. So yeah, I try to walk all the time. And that habit is born out of me trying to control my blood sugar because walking is, I could eat 5 donuts and go take a walk. And I mean, that's an exaggeration. Don't you know?
Yeah.
Don't choke me through the screen.
Right. Right.
That's
Right.
an
You're like,
exaggeration.
what you doing?
5 donuts? What
Right.
the? At once? No, I mean,
Right.
but no, you know what? It helps. It helps with the sugar, with the spikes in general,
Yeah.
and then it helps for me. It helps to come back down faster if I walk post meal, even if it's not a long walk. But for me, a 15-minute walk is about a mile because of how my
Yeah.
pace. I got long legs, but yeah, that walking helps a lot. I think the whole twin health experience that I went through, what that really forced me to do was pay a lot more attention to how my inputs impact my body. So when I
Right.
say my inputs, I mean my my eating, my exercising, my stress management, which for me includes walking meditation. It includes once a month I meet with a group of brothers. We got a small little collective, and we just talk
Mm-hmm.
about life, whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, right now, 47 pops up a lot because he's impacting the world in such a way. But these inputs, when I say that, the things that I can do to control or mitigate some of the stress that life puts on us, because it does it all the time.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Mhm.
exercise, or I like to start, I'm starting to try to use the term activity versus exercise these
Yeah,
days,
yeah, that's a
just
better term, I
because,
think.
yeah, because exercise sometimes can have a negative connotation to it as well. But it's
Yeah,
activity. It's about us
yeah,
being active, getting our heart rate up, but doing things that we enjoy doing as
hmm,
well. So for folks who may have limitations in walking, such as their back, knees, hip, and things like that going on, well, there's the warm water activities that we can do. There's the
right.
recumbent bicycles that we can do. There's dancing if you enjoy dancing. I even say
Yeah,
sexual activity and things like that are
hmm,
still good exercise or activities to do because it still helps to get that heart rate up. And hopefully you're doing things that you enjoy doing as well. And
right. And
if
I
you
think
can get
sometimes that
others to
word
join you,
exercise turns people off.
yes, exactly. Because you're automatically thinking, I got to go to the gym. I don't want to join a gym. I don't, this, that, and the
I
other.
don't want to
It's
sweat.
not about
Yeah,
that.
I know people that don't
Right,
like to sweat, which is just crazy to me because, to each their own. But yeah,
right,
the do something versus the do nothing,
right,
And so, yeah, calling it exercise can turn some people off, but saying let's
right,
go for a walk doesn't
right,
doesn't necessarily have that same connotation. And then, when we're talking about our age group, I mean, the reality is that certain types of exercise are going to be a negative anyway. And then
right,
if you've been out of shape for a long time and now, your doctor says to you, look, your fat ass needs to get moving, you know,
right, right.
or
And
whatever,
and
then
we
that
also
means get
gotta
moving. That doesn't mean go and start trying to pick up pick up a bus.
Right.
Don't you ain't don't
Exactly.
there's a difference between between Tai Chi and karate, right?
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
there are levels to all of this, and if you and then
Exactly.
if you haven't been active, very active, then you need to be easing into it.
Right.
And cause
Don't try
and
to
cause
knock out the
right,
whole routine in 15 minutes when you have been doing it in 5 years type deal.
right.
Right.
Just do something.
Right.
If you just been sitting on your ass for years, get up and walk to the corner. You
Right.
know,
Right.
start with something simple. Don't do the
Right.
stuff that's going to shut you down immediately because I see people on Facebook. They was like, oh, I got to get in shape, and they went out and went to this gym with this military drill
Right.
instructor type of trainer
Right. Right.
that that whooped their ass,
Right.
sent
Right.
them home, beat
Right.
down and broke, and now they sore, they pitiful, they can't move for a week,
Right.
and now they're dejected, and then they give up. You wasn't
Right.
supposed to be in that class in the first place. You
Exactly.
you were supposed to be in that walk around the gym 3 times and have a conversation with some friends group,
Right.
and then in 3 months you were supposed to be in that easy class,
You build it up.
but you're
Right.
supposed to be building up
Exactly.
to it because the whole goal
Exactly.
is lifestyle improvements, not temporary fixes.
Right.
When we're trying to get this machine functioning better long term,
Right.
it's about the consistent baby steps that eventually have moved you to this other place where you can't even remember what you were like over there
Right.
before.
And we got to stress too, Rich, that folks, just make sure that what you do, where you do it, you are in a safe and comfortable environment as well. So
Yeah.
sometimes that's important to have others with you just so that you can feel safe and comfortable in whatever those activities are. So that's the one thing to just remind our listening folks about that as well.
Yeah, because otherwise you're adding more stress, right?
Right. Right.
You just. Hey, I got a question for you, Doc.
Hmm.
Inflammation
Hmm.
and high blood pressure.
Hmm.
First two-part question, really. First part, what is inflammation really? We hear the term all the time. People, inflammation, does that, I mean, I think like it means everything
Uh,
swelling up and getting bigger. Is that what it means? I mean, what is inflammation inside the body? And how does that
so
wreck everything? And how does
yeah,
inflammation relate to high blood pressure?
inflammation in general terms is basically when our body is trying to respond to something that it doesn't like happening to it. So in some instances, that could be blood pressure. Blood pressure could be a sign of inflammation in our body, a rise in your blood sugar. Diabetes is actually an inflammatory process in and of itself as well. But it could be that swollen
Mm-hmm.
joint that's inflamed. It could be having a cold or those sniffles that are coming up can be signs of inflammation as well. So think of inflammation more as our body's response to something that's irritating it. That's the kind of way I like for us to think about inflammation.
Okay, because like if I need to clip my toenails and I'm trying to work out and one of them is rubbing and it starts to irritate
Hmm.
me, then it kind of swells up a little bit, right? It gets red and it gets
Right.
puffy, it gets hot. Are those all kind of like, is that
That's
inflammation?
inflammation as well. So all of those are signs of
Hmm.
inflammation. And our body is sending our cells. There are some protein changes and other changes that are going on to try to reduce again what's ever causing that irritation in our bodies to reduce that inflammation. And then sometimes, we take anti-inflammatories to try to help us with that as well. And that's not something I encourage us to take always because they can have negative side effects
Right.
too. But sometimes we need that in order to bring down the inflammation and help our body do what it's still trying to do for us as well.
So, we talked about this once before. I think we pretty much had an episode where we talked about travel as an antidote to
Yes.
stress. I'm just that just popped in my head. I'm thinking about this in terms of ways to counter to heal and to be whole and think about the mind, the body, the spirit. The different components that make us up.
Hmm.
how we can, the more we improve all of these,
Hmm.
right? We've got our spiritual, we've got our physical, our emotional, and our mental. If we are trying to address all of these effectively, then that improves our chances of long term reductions in the blood pressure.
Exactly. Stress is a huge impact on our body and our health. That's why we spend so much time really talking about our mental wellness as well, because our mental health definitely impacts our physical health. And if we're able to at least keep one component of that doing well, we're going to have a better chance at keeping our physical health doing better for the long term. What are things we can do, man? I mean, we've said it, meditation, prayer. If stress is getting to you mentally, sometimes therapy is highly important in that as well. And the aspect of community. Rich, how many times have we said together? We got to find our tribe. We got to find our folks. We got to find our people that we feel safe and comfortable with in order to reduce those
Hmm.
stressors that are going on in our lives, which are impacting our
That
physical health.
basic
Right.
piece.
We've got to. We can't do this thing alone. We
Hmm.
talked about that earlier. We think we on an island on this
Yep.
thing and we got to just suffer through it. That's that John Henryism we spoke about earlier and before. No, that is not the right way to
Hmm.
go about this. And we got to change that mindset as relates to that as well.
That's the path to the short term.
Exactly.
It's trying trying to muscle through everything, trying to man up the world. It's not gonna work.
Right.
It will beat down any and everybody if you try and take that approach. The emotional health, we build that, like you said, you build that in community, you build that in conjunction and collaboration with others. It's really hard to effectively manage your mental health and your spiritual and emotional fitness being totally by
Right.
yourself.
Right. You can't, because there's so many things that we can talk ourselves out of. If I had to rely on myself to go take a walk or to eat right and things of that nature, man, please, there are so many things that I could find as a distraction or a reason why not to. But if I have that support, and that support is, our relationships, our support are our friends, our family, our coworkers.
Hmm.
Those are the things that help us to stay motivated. I talk about these accountability partners, and I say how
Hmm.
important accountability partners are. That's that group that you have that you go walking with and just be able to have conversations with. You guys are supporting each other in that wellness. Us, one of us is not on this one today. We miss him. We know he's got a
Hmm.
lot going on, but he is part of our accountability tribe as well. But it's important. We got to check in on each other. We got to encourage each other. But sometimes we might have to, encourage each other's in ways that we know how to encourage each other, and not it be a
Hmm.
malicious or evil intent way of encouraging each
Right.
other as well. So that is highly important, man, and that's going to help us just live a better, productive, and hopefully a happier, existence as well.
So you got to have you a good doctor in your life. That's part of the key, right? Have you a good doctor that you can have a good relationship with. So I look at it as being a double blessing. I have like I said, I've got a good doctor that I've had for a
Yeah.
few decades now, and then I
Yep.
have you, you know. So everything that he and I talk about, well, not everything, but everything that I have questions about, I hit him with my questions, I get his answers, and then I come back and talk to you.
Yes.
You know,
And it's
hey,
all
just
good.
because ChatGPT exists, you better also use Perplexity
Right.
or one of these other ones just to
Right.
double
Right.
check.
Right.
You know, make sure you get good information from all
Right.
sources. I think that's a really huge piece that we just have to kind of hammer on a little bit is that relationship. And I know it's a lot of cats in our age group that don't
Yep.
have a doctor, a
Yep.
regular doctor, and I still think you
Yep.
need to
I
get one.
totally agree
You
with
know,
you. Totally.
life is going to keep happening. Your automobile is going to continue to have parts fail on it,
Exactly.
right? You need an expert. The ride ain't as young as it
Right.
used to be. The parts are getting harder to
Right.
find. You know,
Exactly, bruh.
there are fewer and fewer people that know how to fix that type of
Yes.
thing. This is all an analogy, but the reality is you've
It's
got to have
real.
that.
Right.
Certain things require
Right.
expertise, right?
Right.
You could change and outlet
Right.
yourself, but maybe you shouldn't be trying to rewire the
Right.
crib,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
especially if you're a school teacher,
Right.
if you're not an
Exactly.
electrician, right? You can change the tire, you can change the spark plug, but maybe you should let somebody else swap that
Right.
transmission, you know. Expertise matters. You need to develop those relationships, cultivate those relationships. And the reason why that doctor-patient relationship is so important is because so much of it should be driven by science and data. So you need someone
Right.
who's got that expertise, and then also you want the long term
Right.
view. And that's one of the things, like I said, that's why I think it's so important. Now, I've thought about changing doctors on
Hmm.
many occasions, primarily because my doctor is an hour and a
Hmm.
half away, and I don't always want to drive that far to
Right.
see him. But that has not yet been good enough reason for me not for me
Right.
to change, because we've got a great relationship. He knows me, I
Yep.
trust him. And check this out, he's a
Yeah.
white dude.
Yeah.
I've got a white doctor. He's been the same doctor for decades. But one of the things that I like about him is that while he's not a
Hmm.
black man, he makes a concerted effort to do all of his research on how everything. So every conversation that we're having is giving me all of the data from all of these studies, and he's talking about what these studies say or don't say about how this might impact
Right.
black people differently or whatever. So he's conscious of that reality, and he factors that into everything that
Yeah,
we're
he
doing.
sounds like he's got
Um,
some what I like to call some cultural competency with him, and he cares
hmm
about you. So, yeah, it would be, hey, studies have shown, and we've talked about this previously, how having a someone who represents you and your culture tends to help you be better, do better, feel better as it relates to your health and wellness too. But there aren't enough of people like that out there as well.
hmm
So, we have to find
Right.
those folks who still have a care about who we are as individuals and willing to try to go
Right.
the
And so
extra
he was,
steps to try
yeah.
to understand who we are, to try to help us through our journey too. So you've got a
hmm
great doc there
And
too, Rick.
yeah, and he was referred to me. He was referred to me by a
Okay.
sister, actually.
Yep.
Heather. He's been my doctor for decades because he was referred. Heather gave
Okay.
me his name years ago. So I don't know how they knew each other or whatever, but that's how I ended up with my
That's
doctor
it.
years ago.
That's it.
So yeah.
And real
Um.
quick,
So
Rick,
yeah, something
because I
like.
know that we're getting probably
hmm
ready to wrap this up in a moment, but I do want to make sure that we say one other thing. And this is something that I hear a
hmm
lot. I know folks out there probably thinking it too. Well, what about natural remedies? What about natural supplements? How does that look as far as helping us with blood pressure management? That being the topic. So, what I'll just touch on
hmm
that real quick is that what you've heard us talk about today, those are the natural ways to help approach your blood pressure, health, and wellness as well. If you want to look at what apple
hmm
cider vinegar does, or what the next natural supplement,
Apple cider
uh,
vinegar don't do nothing for your blood pressure,
you
man.
know,
It does help with blood. It does help with short-term blood sugar. Like you, right before a meal, 15, 20 minutes before a certain meal, it can
it,
help with
it,
the
it,
spikes. That's
as you
all it's
said,
for.
short-term benefits there and things of that nature too. So
hmm
again, we're not saying that things like that cannot potentially have some benefit, but it's not going to take the place of all that we really have been trying to encourage us to be doing and working on as well.
Right. Just make that part of the whole
Right.
package. If you want to throw some apple cider vinegar in there and do some other things like that, that whole consistency. So if that's part of a full package of things that you are doing every day to improve your overall health and well-being, you're doing that, and you're also walking, and you're also doing meditating, and you're also doing these things to de-stress, and you're also telling those people in your lives that it's time for them to get the hell away from
Yep.
you, or whoever, whatever you need to do to protect your mental health. The learning how to say no,
Yes.
and saying it with a smile. No,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
no. No, I'm not going to do it.
Exactly.
No, why not? And you don't always need to
Right.
explain yourself, right? Sometimes you just need to
No.
say no. You need to protect your peace and do those things, some of these things have become a little more popular, but they're very real in that making those choices, the people choices, having the right people in your space, having the right people around you, your circle matters. All of these things can contribute to the level of stress in your life.
Oh,
So,
that's it exactly, bro. So I totally agree with that no as well. And that's important as we go through that
mhm.
as well. And as we're closing it out, Rich, I want to say that look, our life's journey, it's not a 100-meter dash. This is running a New York marathon. I mean, that is how we've got to think about this. We can't go for these.
New York Marathon,
There
Mom
you go.
Donnie.
Exactly. We don't have to try to figure this out and get it done quickly, but we need to be working
Hmm.
towards the process of staying and being healthy, and we can do that. And we're human. We get that. There's only one perfect being that I'm aware of that's been in our existence, and that's Jesus. So the rest of us are trying to be as best as we can be, and we just need to be mindful that we continue to try to strive towards that as well. So, you know,
You know Jesus was an
hey,
African.
I'm with you all the way, brother. Science has said that all people have evolved from Africa, but some people still try to debate that.
I'm being a little more specific. I'm being a little more specific. He ain't had no blue eyes. And if he did, you know what? It's all kinds of chocolate people that had blue
That's true
eyes.
too.
His hair was like wool. I'm just saying, being
I
controversial
see.
since we don't always do
That's
that,
right. That's right.
have a,
That's right.
but,
That's right.
so he said it earlier. This isn't necessarily a life sentence. Your blood pressure's up. We can change that. You can put in the work. You can put forth the effort. The goal is to make the best quality of life possible for as long as possible while we're here. Not just be above the dirt, but be above the dirt in the best possible way.
Hmm.
And it starts with one small decision at a time. Value your peace as much as your grind. Value your family and friends, and wanting to be around and be with them and be able to enjoy them, not just be in a
Right.
wheelchair and off to the side where everybody says, "Hey, look at Uncle Richard. Hey, that's him over there." Hey, no, you want to be a part of the conversation, be
Right.
in the party, be doing all of the things still with your
Right.
people. So,
Totally agree. Totally agree. So brothers, get checked, be checked, checked on each other, listen to your body. If something's going on, go see somebody about what's going on, because the sooner we can help affect it, the most likely the better the outcome will be as well. Man,
you know,
we are in a process now where we've got to understand how important life is for us and for those that are around us, that care about us and that we care about as well. We've got to take care of ourselves. We got to take care of each other throughout that process as well. So I just think, brothers, we can do it. Hopefully, this was a great episode, and hopefully, it brought some questions. And if it did, please send those questions to us, comments as well, and have those conversations with those around you.
have those conversations, know those
Hmm.
numbers, because you deserve a life that isn't lived under pressure.
Absolutely.
Take care, everybody.
Appreciate you.